Hello everyone, Trainmaster04 here, and welcome back to the channel. By popular demand from the recent post I made on my channel, which was a vote, I asked if y'all wanted a video from me reacting to the newest 2024 Volume 1 catalog from Lionel. And by popular vote, the answer was an astounding yes. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it. Now, I have actually looked at the catalog, as you have probably guessed by now. I wasn't going to go and torture myself and not look at the catalog a few days after it had been released. And so I have, and really, this review will be more of a short video covering more of the highlights, such as the legacy locomotives that I particularly enjoy, the scale sets, and some of the new semi-scale sets, such as the post-war tooling of a 262 coming back that hasn't been seen, well, since the post-war era, being updated into Lion Chief. So, let's get right into it. Pulling up the catalog when I first saw it, I was just amazed. I knew the 20th anniversary of the Polar Express was going to be coming out, and I was definitely hoping that Lionel would go ahead and produce something special for the 20th anniversary in the first 2024 catalog instead of the second one towards July, more towards Christmas. But in reality, this is a good plan for them, in my opinion, because producing the catalog out now allows them to ship these locomotives, especially the Polar Express anniversary sets, in December, early January. So still in the winter time, around when the actual movie came out in November of 2004, but in 2024. So really a good opportunity for them all. For the cover itself, it is probably one of my favorite covers Lionel has produced so far. Being born in 2004 and also going to be turning 20 in 2024, this catalog cover just really brings back some fond childhood memories of my childhood. When I was 3 years old, I was gifted a Polar Express locomotive, and later on my birthday, so 4th birthday, I was gifted the original hot chocolate passenger car that came with the original golden ticket. And when I was given that set, that just set me on a crash course for a series of unfortunate events, as you can say, of me going down the slippery slope of collecting mall trains. So being able to see something that I dearly enjoy and grew up with, finally celebrating 20 years, and having this catalog cover as like the fabled scene of the Polar Express in the movie, coming out of the tunnel, and you're following the swooping ticket coming down, and it comes and hits the pilot, well, in this case the extremely exaggerated extended pilot, is just something very nice. If Lionel ever produces this as a poster, a standalone poster for dealers, and my local dealer is able to get one, I'm definitely going to try to keep it, or at least get my hands on it, because it's just an outstanding catalog cover. But enough of this ranting, let's get into the actual information. One of the interesting things that I saw and noticed this year for Lionel is, instead of making one 2024 Lionel store exclusive locomotive, Lionel's actually producing two. One for the Polar Express. In this case, it is a interesting blue one. From what I've heard, that the paint scheme on the blue Polar Express, as well as the ruby or maroon version that we'll see later, has a special finish on it to where it has a shimmer to where when you look at the locomotive, you may see deep tones of purple, maybe different tones of blues, violets, and whatnot, but the base coat still being this Polar Express blue that you see on the passenger cars. So something quite nice that I like about that. Something a little bit different, and definitely would look good underneath the Christmas tree. Moving over into the O-scale stuff, so Legacy Vision line. If you hadn't seen the announcement from fall of last year, Lionel has announced the new Vision line locomotives of, in this case, the Erie Triplex. The Erie Triplex, if you do not know, is pretty much an experimental locomotive that was semi-dead on arrival in the case of trying to produce a high torque, high horsepowered steam locomotive that can pull heavy freight trains across long distances, or in this case, short distances between a certain mountain range, in this case on the Erie and on the Virginian. I won't go into much detail on the Vision Line triplexes since the release of these locomotives have been out for quite some time, but there are some nice little things that I like. In particular, Lionel did with these, especially the new features such as a wheel slip feature inside the tender, which is operated by a separate motor within the tender itself. I have a feeling it's going to be quite a nightmare in the tender section, since it's going to have to contain a smoke unit, a speaker, if Lionel's still going to do the surround sound system, which they typically do. Let's see. Yep, I'm betting they will. Yep. Multi-speaker stereophonic sounds. So yes, it's going to be a very tight area in there, especially with the smoke unit, speaker, and then the motor itself, and then the drive system inside of it, unless Lionel's created a new drive board that can fit into the locomotive and handle two motors, one for the main engine set and then one for the tender. In that case, that might ease things up, but I can see this being a technical nightmare, especially for service techs, if that tender motor does go out. But overall, this is all just speculation, and I really do like how these are being made. They are former MTH tooled locomotives, which I was quite surprised hearing that they were, considering MTH just came out with a lineup of PS3 locomotives in 2023. So I'm quite surprised that they were able to go ahead and give up the Erie and Virginian, saying that with quotation marks since there is a technical error with the Virginian triplexes offered as of today. But yeah, it is really interesting considering how these are MTH tooled locomotives instead of straight up Lionel. But it is also nice, and from my perspective, I really don't have an MTH system. I don't have any wanting for an MTH system since I only have one MTH locomotive, and really I don't run it that much. Well, I don't run it as much since I just got it right now. And I really have no desire to get another MTH locomotive right now. So, in this case, it is nice to have something that was made by MTH be handed over to Lionel. They put their spin on it, and then those who only have the ability to run Lionel locomotives just be able to do it. It's still get the same features or same details as MTH's locomotives, but still moving forward with Lionel's technology and spin on things. One thing I did want to talk about with the Virginian triplex, some people were complaining that the Virginian triplex is incorrect. Yes, it is, and it isn't. So Virginian number 701 is a what-if, prototypical what-if, I would like to call. In this case, it is a, so to speak, a Erie triplex, hence why it has only two trailing truck wheels underneath the tender, and was purchased by the Virginian because theoretically they wanted another triplex locomotive on the railroad, and hence it doesn't have the four-wheel trailing truck. The original Virginian triplex was a 2884, which had been talked about when MTH made the Virginian triplex, and that was number 700. So a nice little pickup for Lionel trying to justify a Virginian triplex in their catalog. And then for the set, as probably you all know, is going to be one of the largest or the largest legacy, basically scale freight set that they have ever produced. In this case, it has four reefers, many cars, and four reefers, a caboose, hopper, tank car, stock car, which is a Vision Line stock car, two double sheath box cars, a hobo, steel-sided box car, and a single sheath box car. So pretty much a nice selection of stuff offered in this set alone. Definitely a high price tag, and definitely for those who have the mega layouts and the mega budgets. In this case, with a price tag of $4,000, that just about beats the big boy set out of the water. I can see a few people, such as Eric's Trains or RBP, hope I pronounced his channel name correctly. I get it confused sometimes. will probably purchase this set for a gaff, and I can also see many people going, and possibly even dealers just going ahead and splitting up the set for those who just want this locomotive number in particular, or they just want a certain car and trying to get rid of some overhead. I can definitely see this set being one of those items that will get split up right off the bat. Leaving the Vision Line stuff and entering the built-to-order items. First up, the most long-awaited product that I have been wanting to get my hands on for a long time, and that is a scale Berkshire. In this case, the last time, if I remember correctly, that Lionel produced a scale Berkshire would have been in 2017. And that time, they decided to go with a little bit different types of road names and also a few familiar ones. And even before that, the last time, if I remember correctly, that they produced a scale Perry Marquette 1225 and Nickel Plate Road 765 would have been in 2015. And so, it's almost been about 9 years since the last time Lionel produced a scale NKP 765 and PM 1225. For the locomotives themselves, it appears Lionel is still sticking with the tried and true scale Berkshire mold that they have been using. In this case, they are producing 3 nickel plate roads, nickel plate road number 755 and also 765. It would be a cardinal sin if they didn't produce the 765, both of which have the Mars light attachment on top, which I do believe is still an option to go and remove instead of Lionel actually taking off or having 2 headlight assemblies, with one with the Mars light attached and one without. Let me see. Oh, minimum curve radius 054. That is to be expected. The locomotive is not as big as a Northern, but it still has a pretty large rigid frame with that 8-coupled driving wheel set that it really needs that. And a minimum curve radius of 26 or a length of 26 inches. Yeah, that's pretty nice. That's a nice little engine. Let me see. That's the history. No, it doesn't look like it has anything in the description as to whether or not these locomotives have the ability, or particularly the nickel plate roads, have the ability to switch out the Mars light to a normal single lamp headlamp. Price tag for $1,700, that is a little steep. If I remember correctly, the original Berkshires, let me just take a quick peek into 2015, or no, let's look into 2017. 2017 Volume 1 catalog, I believe. This was, Volume 2. This was also one of my other favorite catalog covers, just so unique. Okay, here we go. Let's see, what's the original price tag? Oh, yeah. Lionel went up on the price tag for these scale Berkshires from 2017 to 2024. If I do the math real quick and round it to 15, let's see. That is a $200 increase, considering how inflation has increased a little bit nowadays and whatnot, and comparing also that this is an older tooled model instead of a new tooled model from MTH. Lionel may have had to update a few things in these to keep them up to par for the new technologies. Yeah, comparing it to the old 2017 prices, this is a little bit of a sticker shock, and I can understand why people have been complaining about it for the last 2-3 years. Really, this year it appears to have gotten a little worse. But anyway, for the 3rd nickel plate road, they're also producing the nickel plate limited in a beautiful blue and silver paint scheme. Really reminds me of the Reading Crusader locomotive, the streamlined 462 and the fluted stainless steel passenger cars that were pulled behind it with the dual observation cars on either end. That really reminds me of that beautiful paint scheme. Number 77, quite nice. I can see that going very popular. And then we get into some more freight road names, such as the Chesapeake and Ohio number 2765 with that unique C&O low pilot-mounted headlamp and then the number board on the smoke box. Very unique. Can definitely see that locomotive being used on C&O layouts, definitely. Detroit to Toledo and Ironton number 705, standard Berkshire, Both of these look like new models since they are digital designs instead of actual old catalog offerings that are either just renumbered or repainted. And then the fabled Perry Marquette number 1225. Based on the photo, this looks like the original stock photo that came out in the 2010, I believe, 2011 catalog. I probably won't be able to access it since that's one of the older catalogs Lionel has produced. May have been newer. No, it was older. It was around 2010, if I remember correctly, when the last Perry Marquette the original Perry Marquette 1225 was produced with the dual tenders. In one case, if you wanted the scale Perry Marquette, you just purchased the Perry Marquette, and if you wanted a Polar Express, Lionel offered the scale Polar Express lettered and sound system tender to go with your Perry Marquette. Another childhood memory that came back to mind with that one. I'm definitely going to try to pre-order one of these. I still have a few more days before I have to decide whether I want to go ahead and do it or not. And currently I'm thinking about going with Charles Rowe. I price compared the Berkshires between Charles Rowe, Train World, and Nassau Hobby. Train World was right in between, Nassau being the most expensive, surprisingly, around $1,550, and then Charles Rowe being the cheapest. They currently have a pre-order price at $1,420, a very, very drastic change compared to the MSRP price, which I'm highly liking right now. Moving over to the next set of legacy scale locomotives, and we get into something that was kind of out of left field, but is well appreciated considering how many years these locomotives have been away, and that is the H7 class 2882s. In this case, Lionel is producing 8 different options for these locomotives, and there are some very nice little details here and there. So, starting off on the first page, the Chesapeake & Ohio number 1572, the tender with a circa 1926, so an older version. Then we have the 1953 with another Vandy tender. Chesapeake & Ohio number 1564 with a shorter Vandy tender. That is going to be an interesting one. And then the 1584 with an Allegheny tender. So an updated, probably end of the year type of locomotive once the Alleghenies became more popular on the C&O. Price tag for these is a little high, right at $2,000. That is pushing the envelope for things in this catalog, considering the last time these H7s were produced was back again in 2013 in the Volume 1 Signature catalog. This is actually one of the few catalogs I do not own in my catalog collection. There was a certain period of time between 2011 and 2012, 2013. I didn't get any catalogs, and this is unfortunately one of those, even though it has a beautiful cover with that H7 boiler front. Let's see. There they are. Yes. So, the H7 Class 2882 from 2017. Original MSRP price for 2013, not 2017, was $1,350. Yep. So about a $700 or $650 increase from the original version. Now, that is still 2013 prices, and even then that was a lot of money, but $2,000 for this much of an engine to this day is also still a lot. I'm probably not going to go and get one of these because it is quite a big locomotive, 30 inches in combined length, 072, and I'm really looking at that Perry Marquette 1225 because I just don't have a scale Berkshire. I have many semi-scale post-war Berkshires, I just don't have a scale one. They are very nice locomotives and quite a nice addition to the Legacy line, or a reproduction into the Legacy line. Considering these locomotives have not been out since 2013, so 11 years, it's quite nice to have these be a comeback. Getting into some more smaller locomotives, this was also a little unexpected for me personally, and that is the 460s. These little locomotives, I have one of these 460s, as you've probably seen many times on my layout and background, or just purely in my running videos. I love that little locomotive to death. It is a reliable runner, and it was one of the original ones. It was made without the whistle steam, doesn't have any Bluetooth, doesn't have any of the updated electronics, so it is quite nice to see Lionel's continuing with these 460s and also in many different paint schemes, such as the New Jersey Central number 185. Really looks like a blue comet in an earlier version. Can see some of that going around in the East Coast. Then we have also some more unique road names that are not really well known, in my opinion. Something that you just don't see very often, and also in more earlier styles and fonts, since these locomotives were early turn-of-the-century locomotives, such as the New York Central and Hudson River number 2140. I mean, that is a road name that you do not see very often, so it is quite nice, and also I can see that being put on many, many layouts. And then there's also the standard New York Central in a all-black paint scheme with polished piston heads. Very, very classy. I hope they keep this dark black boiler or smoke box. That is a very nice touch I like. And for $800, yes, that's a little bit higher than I would want it to have been, but considering everything in today's time are still going up and Lionel still needs to make a profit, that is kind of going to be understandable. Northern Pacific number 1372, beautiful with that red-orange cab. I hope they keep that color correct instead of making it too bright, as well as that smoke box front. If they make that too bright, it is not going to look correctly. And then also a Western Pacific version. Something else you just do not see. And one of the other things that Lionel are making with these 460s is different headlight and dynamo positions. Something that mine and some of the previous 460s did not have the option. So most of these having the early styled smoke box front mounted dynamos and headlamps, and then even the number boards. Number boards were not prevalent on most of the 460s in the past, but this Northern Pacific has it. Very nice updated touches, and I'm glad Lionel's still using this tooling. It's a great model, great runners, and good 036 layout runners. And then Lionel also went ahead and decided to produce a 460 for the Royal Blue line. Quite an interesting history I read up on this catalog for this set, and it appears Lionel is going all out. I would definitely suggest this passenger train for any East Coaster that runs Central New Jersey, B&O, and any kind of Pennsylvania Railroad, any East Coast that this train ran on, or you just purely want an early turn-of-the-century 460 locomotive. Something I really do like about the locomotive itself is this semi-gray to Russian iron, greenish blue boiler, beautiful with that faint gold trimming along the side, and more importantly, a early turn-of-the-century oil lamp styled headlamp. I say headlamp instead of headlight because probably this locomotive would have had a headlamp where it had an oil wick instead of an actual electric light bulb. And then the passenger cars themselves, still, I would assume, still using MTH's, now Lionel's, wood-sided passenger car tooling, but modified to include the correct enclosed ends of the cars. For some reason, I'm not having a good time pronouncing that word this week. And then also including the state heralds on each car. So, based off the history at the top of the catalog, the owners of each railroad that owned a passenger car, instead of putting their own railroad herald or railroad name on the side of the car, they instead opted to put their own state herald. So in this case, there'll be the Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Ohio state herald on these cars. For the price tag of $500 for a 2-pack, you're basically getting $250 for each car. If they have people, which I think they do. No, it doesn't look like they have any. Oh, yes, they do. Detailed interior with figures. Okay, that might be a little more justifiable for the price tag of $250 per car, and also considering that these are going to have to be retooled. Or the original molds are going to have to be retooled for the enclosures on either end of the cars. Yes, that's going to increase the price tag just a little bit. Still, you could probably find the locomotive and the cars separately from a couple of retailers at a much smaller price tag than that. But anyway, very nice set, very classy. And then we get to something that hasn't been seen since the Rail Sounds 5.0 TMCC days, and that is the Class A 442s, otherwise known as the Milwaukee Road Hiawatha's. The Hiawatha is one of the most famous passenger services that many of the Midwesterners oh so love and adore. And in this case, one of the fabled locomotives and one of the first locomotives that pulled the Hiawatha services on the Milwaukee Road was the pioneering, oil-burning Milwaukee Road Class A's. These 442s were powerhouses for their time. Tiny locomotives, but just speed demons. The Milwaukee Road really went out when they designed these locomotives by putting the crosshead more towards the front and also the reciprocating crank towards the front as well to reduce any vibrations, and also shorten the stroke. Piston stroke was really something revolutionary. And then on top of that, also making these locomotives oil burners, something that you really did not see quite often unless you were in the western regions where coal and other fuel sources were not very viable. For these locomotives, Lionel's offering many different versions. In this case, as stated earlier, there are two 2024 Lionel Store exclusive locomotives, and this is the second one. This year, instead of using a Dreyfuss locomotive for their 2024 locomotive, they have stuck with the streamlining idea and instead are doing the Class A itself. Personally, I like this version of the 2024 paint scheme better than the Dreyfuss itself. Lionel really did try to keep with the Lionel colors of orange, blue, the creams, but they also kept the silverish cream white of the original Hiawatha, so very nice, very nice. For the price tag for these locomotives, a little higher than I would have liked it to, but if Lionel keeps the original details such as the opening smoke box front, which it appears in this image that they still have the hinges on the side of the locomotive, then the $1,200 price tag might be justifiable. Now, one thing that I did hear from people complaining about these Class A's is the addition of whistle steam, or let me see, what did they do? Yes, whistle steam. These locomotives were not equipped with a steam whistle in real life. In real life, again, the idea was modernization of a steam locomotive. So in this case, the Milwaukee Road opted for an air horn to be equipped onto the locomotive instead of a steam whistle. Yes, I know most people, when they see a steam locomotive, they're expecting a smoking whistle and a whistle coming out of the locomotive. So here's hoping that Lionel actually goes and keeps the smoking whistle, but allows the system to turn off that feature when it cycles through to possibly a horn, 2 or 3 horns, and be able to keep the smoking whistle. Similar to what they did with the S1, yes, the Pennsylvania Railroad S1, the 6446 that I reviewed about a year and a half, 2 years ago. It didn't have whistle steam on it, but Lionel opted to have multiple horns and at least 2 whistles in it to keep the balance correct. For the passenger cars, it looks like Lionel is keeping with that fabled early design of the observation car. In this case, it has the beaver tail with the horn on the rear. Nice little pack. For a 3-pack of the 18-inch aluminum passenger cars, very nice touch. So these are going to be some hefty cars if the aluminum is correct and the paint doesn't chip off because of poor paint application. For $900, not too bad for the aluminum cars. I bet you cannot get any of these the original aluminum cars in a 3-pack under maybe $600-700, so not too bad. And then for a 4-pack, you have $1,400. Still has figures inside. The aluminum, I think that's going to be the biggest selling factor. And the 4-pack as well also has an additional station sounds observation car. So the observation car alone has the sound system in it. Quite a very nice set. I can definitely see a lot of Midwesterners, Milwaukee Road fans going and purchasing this set. Besides that one version of the Class A, Lionel's also offered Hiawatha number 1 without the flying or Olympian emblem on this side of the tender, and also with a 4-wheel truck set, and then also number 2, because the original Hiawatha Lionel produced was number 3, so it is nice to see that they are completing the batch, with number 4 with a red Mars light up front, number 1, and then number 2. So if you have the original TMCC version, you can now complete the whole set and have the whole Class A fleet from the Milwaukee Road. For the passenger cars, they are a little bit different in the paint scheme, a little bit more earlier instead of the later version to meet demand of the newer passenger fleet. Very nice indeed. And then Lionel's also offering the Class A's in something a little different. In this case, they're offering it in 3 different types of different road names. First up is the Chicago and Northwestern. I've heard some people complain about the paint scheme being incorrect. I cannot vouch for that since I am not really I'm not a Midwestern modeler, so I have no say whether or not the passenger or the paint scheme on the locomotive is correct or not, and nor can I say on the passenger cars alone. But still, it's very stunning. Then we also have the Seaboard. The Seaboard, a very, very stunning paint scheme, and I do think a lot of people are going to go for it. Not as much as considering as the standard Hiawatha locomotives, but still, I think enough to go and sell. Same prices for all of these as well. And then we have the hot dog paint scheme, as some people like to call it, or the 49er. Now all 3 of these sets are genuine what-ifs, especially the 49er, as the 49er passenger service was pulled by a 462 and a 482 that was modified with the streamlining and painted in this beautiful paint scheme. But it is a nice addition to the fleet of 49er locomotives that Lionel's been producing lately, like the ES44s, the Challengers, and also the Big Boys. And I think I'm missing one other. Oh well. Very nice sets, and I'm glad to see these locomotives making an appearance into Legacy. Nice new addition. Then we get into the diesels. I'm not going to spend too much time in the diesels as there's not very much I am so appealed to. GP9s, the only interesting thing I would have to say about the GP9s is Lionel's bringing back the dummy GP9 without the cab, just a powered unit, a DPU, so to speak, something that you really haven't seen in O-scale in a long time. And even upon that, it's a super base unit. So something I really like that Lionel did to offer a super base, which is really becoming quite popular lately, to go along with your GP9, because typically railroads, instead of purchasing a locomotive that has a cab, when in reality they're just going to lash up these locomotives to get more power, why have a cab? Just do it this way. Very nice, very, very nice in my opinion. $600 for a GP9. About $100, $150, a little bit more than I would want to. That's getting up into the range of what is typically seen of a larger, modern ES44, SD70 even. And considering the only pieces of metal on this locomotive are the pilots and trucks, and the frames, of course, that is getting a little concerning. And then $500 for a super base dummy that doesn't even have a motor in it, but it does have lighting and electric couplers and the smoke unit inside. I am not too convinced on these prices for these GP9s. Speaking of ES44s, Lionel's offering many and almost every single road name of ES44 out there: BNSF, Canadian Pacific, CSX, NS, and even the UP. In this case, the Union Pacific actually has the new paint scheme that has come out by UP themselves, with having the American flag instead of in the middle where the prime mover is, it is instead on the nose. A nice touch that I'm glad that's going to be seen. I know somebody that I got to talk to this past Saturday who is already making his list for these ES44s because he loves this type of locomotive. And I think it is totaled up to about 14 so far. That could change in the near future, so he's kind of in a sticky situation right now when it comes to these locomotives. Some more Norfolk Southern Heritage units, and something that is nice that Lionel's doing with these heritage units is that they're offering a powered and the non-powered version, so that if you still want the paint scheme, you can get the non-powered for a cheaper price, but if you want the powered unit, you can get the power unit. Many different options to save money for the wallet. Price tag for these, it appears Lionel has gone up on the price tag on these as well to $750 instead of like $650 where it once was about a year ago. Again, can be found much easier online. And then we get to yet even more heritage paint schemes, and in this case it's the CSX paint schemes. Another set of locomotives that the same friend is having a difficult time deciding whether to get it powered or non-powered. And in this case, Lionel is starting off with a nice healthy helping of most of the CSX heritage locomotives. Hopefully these locomotives will not have any paint bleeds for the masking, considering that these are going to be semi-complicated, especially the chassis system with the blue, orange, and yellow is that diagonal pattern blending into each other, as well as the seaboard system. But a very nice offering, and I'm very happy that they went ahead and are going to produce these, especially since CSX has been coming out with a bunch of these locomotives in real life. It is going to be very nice to see what else the CSX paint crew come out with. SD45s, a little bigger than SD40s. Nice offerings of Santa Fe's, Delaware, and Hudson. Southern Pacific with the bloody nose up front. The Reading lines, that's definitely going to be popular for most people. And the Rio Grande and Frisco. Very beautiful offerings. 650, it is one of those locomotives that's in the middle, in between early to already well-established diesel locomotives. Going to be something that I can definitely see being popular. Then we get into the E units. This was something else that I was not expecting to come out from Lionel, considering that the last type of E units that came out were not too long ago. In this case, Lionel's offering some nice selections. In this case, they're producing the Baltimore and Ohio in an AB set. And probably one of my favorites is the General Motors AA set, portraying the original Seaboard General Motor E6 locomotives that were at the 39 through 40 World's Fair, and taking a spin on it. Like the original, the second A unit, and in this case Lionel's offering a B, Super Base B unit, there is a cutaway see-through section on both units, and instead of seeing a prime mover as the real ones would have shown, Lionel is going back to their F3 Phantom days and clear operating car accessories by making it allowing you to see the electronics inside. A very unique and nice touch from Lionel, in my opinion. Southern Green and White in the Crescent Limited AB set, very, very nice. $1,200, same price as you could get for one of the Class A's. And speaking of Class A's, here is a Milwaukee Road AA set. Something that would definitely look nice for that first set of Milwaukee Road passenger cars. Per se, you wanted to have a steam transition to diesel power, motive power. Very nice set. Then we get into some more E6 units. Rock Island with their Rainbow Era-esque paint scheme, AA set, and then a Super Base B unit. Union Pacific City of San Francisco. Beautiful, beautiful locomotives that you do not see very often. And also some add-on passenger cars for that Rock Island E6 set. Make yourself a commuter train. In this case, the 4-pack is $1,000. So a little bit more. I believe they're using the tooling used for the Reading passenger cars they produced not too long ago with the Reading T1s. Not too bad. E6 Burlington route locomotives. These I can definitely see being popular, especially considering some people like to use E units to pull their California Zephyr passenger trains. And it even comes with Burlington route passenger cars. In this case, these are the plastic body 21-inch passenger cars. So $500 for a 2-pack, that's stretching it a little bit, in my opinion. Add on Station Sounds Diner, and then a 4-pack for $1,000. So same price tag as the previous passenger cars for the Rock Island. Switchers, SW8 switchers, nice little things for anybody's layouts that wants a small diesel shunter. $550, still pretty high for my opinion. You could go and purchase a Line Chief Plus 2.0 or even a Line Chief Plus SW8 or SW2, I think, for a much cheaper price, or NW2, there we go, NW2 diesel switcher for a much cheaper price, still have good smoke, good sounds, and also have a handheld remote come with it. most of the time Bluetooth as well. In my opinion, I would go with one of those smaller ones because you pretty much get the same detail out of them than with these legacy locomotives. U-boats, or in this case U-28Cs, many popular road names that used them, in this case Conrail, Louisville and Nashville, Pennsylvania, Union Pacific, the Seaboard, Southern Pacific, and then Penn Central. All road names I'd definitely see come out. $650, same price tag as an SD45, still a little high, but a good locomotive nonetheless, something you do not see very often. And then we get into the scale freight sets. Now we're getting into the area where I'll be skipping a good portion of stuff and really just get into the more nitty-gritty that I feel like is more important. In this case, the freight set has a price tag of $2,500. It includes something that hasn't been seen in a long time, and that is a hotbox reefer. Lionel hasn't produced one of these hotbox reefers in a long time, probably because the sound system in the original hotbox reefers were not the greatest in my opinion. Had good smoke units, but sometimes got a little too annoying, so hopefully they have updated the sound features inside of it. But for the set itself, it includes a standard nickel plate road number 779 Berkshire type locomotive, a Vision Line, stock car, a piggyback flat car, and a standard PS1 boxcar and caboose. Nice set. Can definitely see this going pretty good on sales, considering that the nickel plate road was famous for merchant fast freights going down the nickel plate's fast high line, and really quite a nice set. Very expected considering they're producing the scale Berkshires. Next set, something a little bit interesting and very creative in my opinion, is the Atomic Energy Commission train set that also glows in the dark. Similar to the previous set, it has a GP9 diesel locomotive with a GP9B. There we go. That's also same price tag as the other GP9Bs of $500, and the set itself has $1,000. Quite a nice set, though there is not a lot into it, no sound cars or anything like that. Pretty much the coolest feature about it would be the glow-in-the-dark paint, something that Lionel's been coming up with a lot lately with their Halloween, so something that is nice to go along with this. Going back to the E units, in this case, there is an Illinois Central City of Miami legacy set. Another set that I've heard apparently that Lionel, based off of the catalog colors, have gotten the paint scheme wrong. I do not know if that's true or not. As I said earlier, I'm not really a Midwest railroad or modeler, so I have no idea whether or not this set is correct. But a price tag of $1,500, you get a single A unit, which I believe is meant to be an A or an E5 instead of an E6. Correct me if no, it is an E6. I see it up in the description. 4-car set, pretty good. So you get $1,000 in the car, and then whatever, and then a $500 in the locomotive itself. Not bad. And then a $500 2-pack with a $450 Station Sounds diner. So you could really make yourself a nice passenger set with this. Then we got some add-on passenger cars, Pennsylvania, and then also some New York Central. In this case, you can use those with any of the 460s that came out in the previous pages. And now I'm going to skip over a few things. There's also some more hotbox reefers available. Again, I do hope they update the sound system in these, because the original sound systems were not my favorite. Something I may get down the road if I ever would like to get any more reefers to the collection. Lionel's continuing the Union Pacific World War II billboard boxcar art, or billboard art boxcars. In this case, they are producing 4 different types of 3-packs. Very, very nice. A new Union Pacific CA1 caboose in the 1944 paint scheme, and then also another PS1 Freight Sounds boxcar. Very nice. I almost got one of these boxcar sets in the last catalog, but unfortunately I did not pick it up. And now we're getting into some of the semi-scale stuff. Probably the biggest news that would have come up from this would have to have been one of the newest sets Lionel has offered in a long time. Starter sets, I might add, and that is the Prairie Freight. The Prairie Freight is actually going to be pulled by the old 675 locomotive. It is quite nice to see Lionel is going back to some more post-war heritage roots. And this set is by far the biggest jump of going back into the post-war heritage days, as such as going into the post-war celebration series, which Lionel hasn't done one of those in a long time, nor have they done a post-war inspired conventional set. So to see one of these come back to life, and it also being tooled from the original post-war molds, but being updated with Lion Chief systems, smoke, and even more features inside, such as Bluetooth, is quite neat. It'd be fun to see this set be compared to the original 675 Freight set and just see how much times have changed and how much these locomotives have been cherished and loved. For a set of $430, not bad. If the locomotive is still die-cast and the tender is still pretty good quality, so will the trucks. This I can see will be one of the newest and best Lion Chief sets Lionel's produced in a long time. Now, something else that Lionel's doing with the 675 set is they're offering these locomotives separately, which is a very nice and good idea. For $330, however, I am not sold quite just yet on a Lion Chief locomotive with that kind of price tag. Now, I have seen more expensive Williams by Bachmann 460s going for $430, and they do not have any kind of remote control system inside. These alone, in my opinion, are not just quite there yet, and not really screaming a Lion Chief product. Really, Lion Chief to me is the bottom of the barrel, almost bulletproof type of locomotive that'll get your kid from point A to point B just fine and doesn't hurt the wallet too much. Or if you are a modeler, has a very tight budget, but you need some more motive power, or just want something a little cheaper for the holidays or for a constant runner, this is the type of lineup you would go for. But for $330, I am not quite sold on these locomotives. Maybe there is something more that I'm just missing with it, but that's just my opinion. Skipping ahead some more. What I'm really skipping is pretty much more themed boxcars, semi-scale items, and just additional items like Halloween and whatnot. But the biggest thing that probably this catalog has pretty much advertised plenty enough, and that is the addition of Polar Express 20th anniversary products. It is amazing to think that after 20 years of this film being out into the public and still being a family favorite every Christmas, and even to myself, is astonishing. As I stated earlier, I'll be turning 20 this year as well, and to think that a movie that I grew up with is also turning 20 and is the same age as me is just mind-blowing to my opinion. So to see all this wonderful Polar Express stuff, especially anniversary products, is just so great. So let's get into it. Starting off with the elephant in the room, and that is a Polar Express scale set. This is the first time Lionel, and from what I remember, is the first time Lionel's actually produced a scale Polar Express that is actually a set, or comes in a set option. Most of the time, what Lionel does is they produce the scale Polar Express Berkshire, and then they offer the passenger cars either in double or single packs separately. In this case, Lionel went ahead and turned the tables and is going to create a 20th anniversary Polar Express set. Keeping it with the idea of making it something special instead of a standard black Polar Express, Lionel's producing this ruby red or maroon Polar Express to match the maroon stripe down the middle of the passenger cars. And speaking of the passenger cars themselves, the set will come with 3 cars total, a Combine, which, speaking of the Combine, actually has a nice little paint detail towards the nose. In this case, the stripe bands out to help blend in into more of the back of the tender. Nice little touch, especially with the PE logo on it. And then, also more importantly, Lionel is retooling the observation car, not only for the 20th anniversary set, but also separately. Ever since the Polar Express came out in 2004 and Lionel went ahead and also produced the semi-scale version, they really went ahead and they really did not go and actually go whole hog and make the set look as realistic as in the movie. For instance, the lettering of the Polar Express on the original passenger cars were above the windows instead of below, like in the movie, and the observation car itself, specifically the scale version, was just a reprinted standard standard heavyweight passenger car with a squared off cover awning at the back of the car itself with a half-done, so to speak, curved observation deck stuck at the back. Very cheesy in my opinion, and really took away the effect of the realism of the Polar Express. As realistic as the movie can be, so to speak. But for $2,400, 3 cars, and a special locomotive, I can see this being a definite sellout for most people, considering there is a huge following, me included, for the Polar Express items. For other anniversary, if you do not want the set, but you still want to have something for the 20th anniversary, Lionel's offering a single heavyweight passenger car with the snow on top, and then the 20th anniversary logo on either side of the car for $250. Pretty heavy, but probably can find it a little cheaper online. And they're also offering 2 different variations of the 20th anniversary logo and catalog cover PS1 box cars. In this case, there is the standard anniversary box car, which I plan on getting. It is $109. I have found it on Charles Row for about $80, $75, so much cheaper than a Lionel's original. Has that beautiful catalog cover, which it looks like it's a little slightly modified. Looks like it has the hobo and the hero boy on top of the boiler of the locomotive instead of the 2 marker lights and number boards like on the front cover of the catalog itself. And then Lionel's also offering a sound PS1 boxcar, which has bell clatter and rail squealing and whatnot, something that you would expect. So yeah, just quite a nice little offering to start off with. Then we get into some more Polar Express items. So, say you do not want the set, Lionel's also offering the special red edition alone for the retail scale Berkshire price of $1,700. They're also offering, as to be expected, the scale Polar Express. Instead of it being a Perry Marquette with the standard boiler tube pilot, it has the extended pilot as seen in the movie. And then Lionel is also offering the blue version as stated earlier. Another Lionel store exclusive, so if you want to purchase it, you cannot purchase it, unfortunately, through any dealer. You have to purchase it through Lionel themselves. So, if you want to get a better deal, you'll unfortunately have to wait for these locomotives to go on sale or some type of holiday to come around and be able to get like a 5 to 10% discount. And as stated earlier, Lionel is keeping with the normal and producing the passenger cars separately. In this case, as stated earlier, the observation cars are finally getting an update. So the awning above will be an actual round awning with a reverse red light up top, a detailed interior, side separately applied ladders on either side as seen in the movie, a curved observation deck, and also the back panel wall is also curved like in the movie. Now there is some speculation and questioning whether or not the PE drum on the back will be lit, and if also there's going to be any LED lights and the awning shining down onto the platform. As of right now, I do not know if that is a confirmation. And then for other passenger cars, Lionel's offering the standard allotment, the abandoned toy car, the standard baggage car, combine car, and a dining car, and standard coach. No hot chocolate car, unfortunately. Missed option there, in my opinion. And then Lionel is also offering a 20th anniversary set in semi-scale. In this case, the set itself, similar to the previous semi-scale 20th anniversary set, it too has some special paint features. In this case, the price for this set is right at $530. Definitely not your standard Polar Express set. And for the paint, the red, maroon, or burgundy stripe has that special shimmer finish to make it look a little extra special. The tender is equipped with the Polar Express 20th anniversary logo, and the coal load is painted gold, which I would imagine is also has a nice shimmer to it. If you don't want the set, Lionel's also offering two versions of the Baby Madison passenger cars with the 20th anniversary logo, one with snow and one without, both for $100, a little high for Baby Madison. And then they're also offering a special anniversary illuminated and sound boxcar. In this case, it's a semi-scale, so the Believe letters are going to be lit up and should play some sounds inside of it. Very nice. Very, very nice. And then they're also offering a few other semi-scale options. In this case, if you just want the special 20th anniversary Polar Express, you can get it now in the Lion Chief Plus 2.0, or in this case, a updated Team CC version of the semi-scale Berkshire for $600. Pretty expensive for a semi-scale. And even if you don't want the 20th anniversary, Lionel's still offering the semi-scale Lion Chief Plus 2.0 in a standard Polar Express fashion. Lionel's also continuing with the former MTH Rail King tooled Genesis or PH4 locomotives. In this case, price tag for a Polar Express one is right at $550. They're also producing a Polar Express Doodlebug and some Team CC Polar Express speeders with a nice snowplow on top, or in front of it. Quite a nice touch, and I can definitely see some people who have Christmas layouts and also a Polar Express or Polar Railroad wanting to get some of these MOW and short line equipment. And then Lionel is finally also offering some more semi-scale smaller items. In this case, they are continuing with the Mickey and Minnie Mouse handcar tooling by producing two different versions of the hand cars. In this case, same price as the others, right? The gold one being at $230, and then the burgundy at $200. These are both wind-ups instead of actual electric ones. And then they're also producing one a personalized 20th anniversary boxcar similar to the Scale PS1, and then also a present transport car. For accessories, Lionel's going into a few new things and also bringing back some accessories that haven't been seen in a while, such as the Freight House. This was an accessory that has not been seen since around the early 20-teens. Something that is quite nice to be seen coming back, especially into the plug-and-play range. They're producing the Polar Express Billy's House with a new figurine tooling. Quite nice. And they're also producing HO and American Flyer items so that those who have HO and S-Gauge are not left out in the 20th anniversary festivities. And then finally wrapping it up in the Christmas area real quick, Lionel's offering the Class A and the Reindeer Road paint scheme with also the passenger cars to match with it. And also, as to be expected, they are bringing another offering to the North Pole Central line with a Scale 460 with two milk cars and one of the Woodside passenger cars, in this case a combine. Very nice set, kind of reminiscent to the Petticoat Junction, so to speak, kind of feeling, with a short line with a combine car right connected behind a 10-wheeled locomotive. Very fancy. New Ready to Run set. In this case, it is a Lion Chief FT in the Sleigh Bell Limited passenger set. Some more Lion Chief offerings and Lion Chief Plus 2.0s with the Scale Berkshire 260, 242, and then a ES44 or ET44, excuse me, in Line Chief. And then in the accessory lineup, some old products coming back just with retooled names such as a Lionelville and Amtrak Passenger Shelter, Amtrak Mail and Express Freight Station accessories, lampposts, and then towards the end of the catalog, there are a multitude of pages showing products that are still available to the end. Overall, that pretty much wraps up the catalog itself, the Volume 1 catalog for 2024. My thoughts on the catalog were primarily directed towards the higher end stuff, and I was quite surprised with all the offerings put into this catalog. Some of them were surprised for the good, and some were surprised for just the purity of being surprised. Such as the 460s making another comeback, considering Lionel has produced 2 other batches of these 460s not too long ago, and some surprises for the better, including obviously the Scale Berkshires, the 20th anniversary Polar Express items, and the H7s and Class A's, products that I would never have considered actually being returned or even added to the Legacy range, and really quite nice. Now, getting into the details of everything, such as prices, I have heard all of the complaints. I agree with some, I disagree with others. I am more towards in between, and that's because I consider the bigger picture in the sense of the current day and age of economics and the fact that dealers typically give the consumers much better prices, and most people don't buy these products directly from Lionel, but instead through dealers because of the decreased prices, especially during the pre-order weeks. Overall, I am disappointed in that Lionel has yet again increased the prices of these, especially the ready-to-run sets, as most people, when they go to look at these ready-to-run sets and they're trying to get into the hobby, are typically parents who have no knowledge of how to order through a dealer or have no idea there is such thing as a dealer outside of Lionel's online store. So typically people will be purchasing through Lionel's store and paying for MSRP price. That itself is a hard thing to go and try to swallow, and I do not deny that is something that I do not like, as really the future of this hobby is within the younger generation. I'm not getting any younger, and the club members of my local club are showing that as well. Yes, my club is thankfully getting into younger hobbyists around the 9 or 10-year-old range. However, they are not getting into O-scale, probably due to it's too big, which has been the same argument for decades, but more importantly, probably because it's just too expensive for their parents or even themselves to actually get into. Overall, I enjoyed this catalog. I was very happy, and I'm probably going to be one of the first catalogs in a long time I'm actually going to highly consider purchase something or pre-order something from it. The last time I went ahead and placed a pre-order down would have had to have been my Santa Fe 3000 from the 2021 catalog, if I remember correctly. So many years ago. It really takes something special for me to go and draw my attention towards and actually go and take a pre-order down. And in this case, Lionel finally gave me something that I would want to. But anyway, this was a great catalog. I hope you all enjoyed this video I've just produced for you all. I know at first I probably disappointed you in saying that I wasn't going to produce a video of me going through this catalog, but after a bit of a nudge through the voting poll saying that I ought to do it and you all would enjoy it, I decided to go ahead and make it. So, if you've enjoyed this video, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. That lets me know that you actually did enjoy it. And if you would like to support my channel and no longer miss any of my future videos, go ahead and click that subscribe button. That will automatically put you into my channel subscribe page and allow you to get notifications of future product reviews, how-to shorts, or just general running videos. Hopefully in the near future I'll have a new running video including a new engine to the fleet, and also have a new product review video on the Union Pacific Vision Line Big Boy from Mr. Muffins. But anyway, my name is Trainmaster04, and I'll see y'all next time.